Hey, everybody. Welcome to the third Spicy Sisters.
Hello, and we are spicy.
We are extra spicy today
We
because
are.
we have now met in person.
We have.
We have sung karaoke together.
We have.
We have sat under the too hot Taj Mahal together.
We definitely did that.
Did you drink too much?
One night I may
Yes.
have had a little bit too much.
Yeah,
Bit.
so we've drunk too much together. We've had herbal tea the next night after that together.
This is true. It was a good time.
It's a good night for tea.
Yeah.
Anyway. Okay, what do we got to talk about today, guys? If you want to hear something, just throw it in the chat. Put all caps so that my aging eyes can tell that you want my attention. If not, I assume you're commenting to one another. And Amy has superpowers this time. Do let folks know we're live. And Amy, what's the first thing you want to talk about today?
What's the first thing we want to talk about? Well, it's busy on the homestead, right?
Oh my gosh.
I got back from living free in Tennessee, and things just got pumped right into high gear. We went from cold here to, I think we're going to have 90 degrees tomorrow is what they're saying, which is crazy for Minnesota. But we came home from your workshop and it was plant the apple trees, plant the cherry trees. We have baby kitties. We have ducklings. We're doing all the stuff, right?
Yeah.
So how do you keep up with it all? Like spring is crazy, right?
You don't.
That's the secret. You don't keep up with it. There's no way to do it all.
Yeah, it turns out you have this list. It's an aspirational list, right? The aspirational list.
There you go.
Really long. And you go outside every day and you're like, I'm going to get all these things done. And then you're like, that looks like it's going to die if I don't do something. And then you do that and the other things don't get done.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. I'm glad to know that it's not just me.
Oh, yeah. There's also the are we going to starve if we don't do it question. Like so after LFTN, it had been going into it, there was no way to get all my seeds in the garden and the weather wasn't quite right. And that week of the event was the week that needed to be the week. And we were not doing anything as far as growing food.
Right.
Except for keeping seedlings alive. So everything got transplanted, seeded, all of it. We went up to the upper garden. There were already weeds poking through the mulch, and I got all that taken care of. But in order to get it done, because I'm also like bone tired from LFTN, I've got all this catch up work to do from ignoring emails before LFTN, all of it. I finally just settled on one garden thing shall be accomplished per day. And at 3 p.m, if I haven't started said garden thing, I will start it at 3, no matter what I'm doing, until it's done. And then I can get back to the scramble. So that's how we did. So it was like the day of the bean seeds, the day of the squash seeds, the day of the transplants. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm glad to know it's not just me.
The trellis is not in.
It's hard to do it all. And Mother Nature doesn't help. Sometimes it's like, this was the day I was going to do that. And now it's pouring. Like, come on, work with me,
Yeah. Yeah, no, that there was an in-rain seeding incident where it was just like really muddy. And I'm just like, poke. Like, I don't even care. They will go in. It shall not ruin them. If they were already in the ground, they would be surrounded by a similarly dense mud. So whatever.
What do you do? What do you do? And the thing is, like, there's so much to get done, and you're battling with Mother Nature, but you're also battling with, what if you don't feel well? What if you're injured? Like, it's just like level up of trying to get shit done. And it's just, it's crazy.
Yeah. Well, energetically until about 4 p.m, I'm doing okay. And then at 4, there's the great crash.
The great crash.
The great, like, if I was a robot, I'd do this. Great. And so after LFTN, though, that time was about 2 p.m. So there'd be this panic every morning. I'm like, oh, I can't take time for coffee. I've got to get shit done. Right? Because I'm going to go boom at 2 o'clock. Right. And then I can still get things done after that, but it's just not the same.
It's not as productive. It takes twice as long to do half as much, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just,
Yeah, and you have that feeling under your eyes, that feeling. My eyes are sucking into my head. I'm so tired.
Yes.
Yeah.
Are you tired, Nicole? I think we talked about that last time.
Yeah, tired is on the list this spring.
It's on the list.
My dogs messed with me yesterday.
Why?
They ran off. And
Naughty.
It's the night before I'm leaving town. And last time the dogs ran off, Cece required 3 months of rehabilitation. And I'm like, how is this even possible that they were outside together unattended? Like, but yesterday was like the day of distraction because it's the day before going out of town.
Right.
One of them got home at midnight. One of them got home at 1:30 in the morning. I, of course, am not sleeping until the little bastards are
Right.
home.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah. So I didn't sleep last night, and today I get to drive to Texas.
Yay!
Yay.
So
So
how
I'm
are you
not
gonna
making it all the way.
you have a good playlist of music, or how do you
Mhm.
stay awake when how do you do that?
I pull over and sleep.
Oh, perfect. It's a good
Yeah.
plan.
I'm the master of if I'm tired, I will pull over and sleep. Sometimes I get a
Mhm.
hotel when unexpectedly on the road and tired because I feel like the way I'm going to most likely get in an accident is if I'm falling asleep at the wheel. So,
Yes.
so
Yeah.
I'll hit the rest stop. I'll make a cup of coffee with my Hollow Roast travel kit, and
Mhm.
then I'll sleep for about half an hour or so, and that kicks in, and then I keep going usually.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah.
You've got
How
it all
about
planned
you?
out.
You just had a really long drive.
Well, yeah, I wasn't driving. We had a fabulous gal who just drove the entire way. She was a
Wow.
rock star. Yeah, but I think from her house to your place was 20 hours, and I think I was 17. So
Uh,
incredible.
that's commitment right there.
That is commitment. That is love, is what that is.
Yeah.
That is love. And yeah, we kept each other awake by laughing and telling stories and
Yeah.
road trip girl things. So
I
yeah,
really
it's been
think if you do this drive again, y'all need to have a live stream from the road.
that would be what I mean. There were some things we said. What happens on the road trip stays on the road trip, So we might
Yeah.
have to live stream and then turn the camera off. But yeah, it
And
was a
then
good
say
time.
what you really wanted to say.
It was fabulous.
Yeah.
We had a great time. So one thing that I always think is interesting with spring is, for me at least, I change the hours of when I do things,
Yeah.
because when it gets hot in the middle of the day, that's when I decide I'm going to come in and do like my office work. I'm going to go out in the morning and do the fun stuff outside and take care of all
Yeah.
that and do it at night as well. And that's exactly opposite of what I'd be doing in the winter, so making
Mhm.
that switch to
Yeah.
changing your hours,
Yeah,
making the
we
most of
already
your
did
day.
that. It's already basically summer here now.
Yes, I know that.
Yeah.
When we were down there, I said, "This is like July in Minnesota. This is
Oh, no.
incredible."
That wasn't summer. That was spring.
That was summer for me. I don't know if I could do your summer.
You could. It would take you 2 years to acclimate.
There you go.
It takes everybody about 2 years to acclimate.
Yeah, that
Because
makes
I got
sense.
here from Oregon, so I was
Sure.
able to acclimate. Now, if I go back to Oregon, it's called freezing my tail off. But
Yeah.
you're right on about that. I just spent the morning watering plants, doing some stuff outside, and then doing the rest of my packing. And now it's time for live stream. And
Right.
on a normal day here, I would have roasted the coffee by now and shipped it so that I was not in the roasting shack at the hottest part of
Right.
the day with no air conditioning, which
Right.
is about 112 to 120 degrees in there.
That's not comfortable.
No, you get used to it
No.
though.
I'm sure
Yeah.
you acclimate. We all
Yeah.
acclimate to all the things. See, you could acclimate to 40 below. You should come to Minnesota.
Yeah, I could.
You
I'm
could do
not
it.
going to do it.
You could. You're going to choose not to.
I don't want to. It's probably the same reason you don't want to acclimate to 90 degrees and humid.
You're not lying. You're not lying.
Although it's not as bad as Washington, D.C.
I've never been.
Yeah, I lived in Washington, D.C. For a time as a teenager. My mom was there, so I was there every summer. Washington, D.C., it gets hot. It gets really, really humid, which is what you hear about the South.
Uh-huh.
And at nighttime, it does not really cool off. Like it cools off a
Oh,
little bit, but it's still north of, 80, 85 and humid as can be out there. Here, like right now, we're getting into the 50s at night. In the summer, we'll still be in the low 70s at night and a breeze.
yeah.
And at that point, it's bearable.
Yeah. What I did notice about being in Tennessee and being in the holler is that it warmed up really fast, and then when the sun went down, it cooled down really fast.
Yeah.
To me, I was like, "Whoa, make sure you have your sweatshirt because, Ken, no 40 below ever." Where's your
Yeah.
sense of adventure, Ken?
That
Come on.
guy can work outside in the middle of a hot Tennessee day. But I think
That's
he thinks twice about it when it's going to be below 20 here.
nah. We all have our skills, right?
Maybe today's the day I do my inside work.
Maybe.
Yeah. Okay, what's our next topic? Should we play a game of what's that smell, or what problem did I create for myself as a
Yes.
homesteader?
Let's do it.
Right now, I'm in the middle of a rousting game of why do I have pantry moths flying around my house? What this means is at some point I'm going to find a random open bag of dog treats, or because I don't eat flour or anything anymore, so I don't really
Right.
have a lot of grains around.
So
Or
where are they?
what is it, and where are they coming from? Because they have to eat something to come out and invade my house, and it's not bad yet. But I heard somebody at our workshop said he played a several months long game of Where's the Pantry Moths, went through his whole kitchen, and eventually found this bag of birdseed in a hall closet that was just teeming with bugs.
Oh, man. What a fabulous discovery.
Yeah.
What do you win when you play that game? Is there like a prize, or is it
You win a rubber glove and mask project. Usually. So what's the best one you've had ever?
I would say we have a what's that smell thing going on right now.
Right now?
I know what the smell is. It's just, am I willing to go in and deal with that right now? We have ducks sitting on eggs. And I feel like maybe one of those nests is not good anymore, maybe, and we're going to explain to the hen, it's time to get off. We need to take these eggs, but it's that whole thing. I don't know if you've ever moved old bad eggs before.
Yeah.
I'm assuming you have, but like sometimes you just barely touch them and they'll, you know what I'm saying? They'll explode, and so
all over you. Yeah.
and it's a smell you cannot get rid of. I mean, once you can't unsmell it.
No, it's like processing chickens. It takes about 48 hours for the poop feather scald smell to go away.
Whatever you call that smell.
Yeah. This is why we always serve beef for lunch at chicken processing.
Because you can't do chicken on chicken
I'm not gonna eat
processing
chicken
day.
today.
Not gonna
No.
do it.
No.
So that is the smell game and it's not really a game, it's more, am I ready to sit down and play that?
Play that game. Yeah, so I had a what's that smell?
Yeah.
Every time I walked in my house after I'd been gone for a day or two, I'd walk in and be like, it's musty. Why are there fruit flies? I haven't had anything out to feed the fruit flies. And it went on for about 3 weeks until I remembered that in my root cellar organizing frenzy, I had forgotten to move one box of onions from under my bed, because when I get the onions, it's still like 90 degrees outside. My root cellar's warm. So my bedroom, though, is air conditioned. So I'll push them under my bed so they stay cool and dark. And then there's this magic day in November where everything moves out to the root cellar. And I left a box of onions last year, and it was a liquid fruit fly smell-inducing box of onions I had to clean up that luckily hadn't leaked through onto my floor.
Oh, nasty.
So it's like if you don't keep track of stuff, it comes back to bite you.
This is true. I remember when I was a kid, my parents had got a watermelon from a friend, and I don't know why, but for some reason they stuck it in their bedroom closet. I have no idea why, and they forgot about it, and it was the same thing, like, what is that smell? Where are these flies coming from? And oh my gosh. Yeah, when we discovered that watermelon in their bedroom, like tucked in the corner, you forget about these things? It's bad. It's bad.
It's very bad. And it's so easy to do on a homestead. You know why?
Because you're busy.
Because we're busy all the time.
Because we are so busy
right now.
It's crazy. Yeah.
Right now, what's that smell will be something in my fridge, probably, if we get one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then don't underestimate that one potato's ability to spread its scent, the one in the middle of the bag.
The middle of the bag, because it's always in the middle.
Yeah. So like if you've played what's that smell for a few days and never found it, ask yourself this question. Do I have potatoes?
Yeah.
Where are said potatoes? And then you need to go searching through that bag.
You're giving them a great clue to the game. That was really kind of you.
Yeah. That one has gotten me more than one time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you ever had a dead thing in your wall or anything like that?
A dead thing in my wall? I can't think of one off the top of my head. I'm sure there's been like rats or mice or something, but oof, ugh, it's a nasty smell. I know there are times when, we had the whole rat thing go through this last season in the barn. And so it was that whole, if we're going to
Yeah.
use poison or whatever
Oh,
to
did the
kill
internet go
them,
out?
I don't know.
Okay, there you are.
Oh, there I am. There,
Yeah.
it is storming, so that might be,
Okay, I was gonna say yesterday my internet kept wavering a
Oh,
little
did you?
bit.
Oh, okay. But yeah, so we were trying to figure out, when these rats die, if it's not that the cats killed them or we got them in a trap and disposed of them, where is it that they go to die? And are they going to smell when they're in the
Yes.
walls of my barn? These are the things that I think about in the great rat explosion of
Yes.
2021. Yeah.
Somebody had somebody give them a watermelon and they forgot about it, and the comment back was closet watermelon wine. So I'm assuming that it fermented in the closet.
Bah.
Claiming Liberty says, I had eggs explode in the incubator in my living room once. Gross! Never incubate birds in your living room. Never, ever, ever. That should never. I did that one time. I regretted that decision so much just from the smell of the damn chickens coming out of their eggs. Ew. You're like, it's a stable temperature. The incubator will work better.
Right,
Yeah. My
right.
living room's going to stink for 2 weeks. The
Yeah.
last 2 weeks. Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, when we used to do pheasants and we would incubate them, oh man, we had some eggs. It wasn't in our house, it was in our barn, but
Yeah.
bad deal. Bad deal. They don't tell you about that when you're incubating. Hey, guess what? These could explode.
Yeah.
Pro tip.
Yeah. That
Yeah.
is the way it is. What's our next topic? I'm actually looking at the list.
What's our next topic?
Are we gonna talk about the calendar idea?
We can.
Yeah,
So,
you explain the concept.
so here's the thing. I grew up thinking that farm girls, were like calendar worthy. They're just gorgeous and they're clean and their hair is beautiful and
And they
they've
wear
got
that checked dress.
that. Yes, exactly, with their cute little cowboy boots and all that. And I don't know about you, but that is not what I look like, especially right. I took a shower today. Be very proud of me. I took a shower. I like
Hair's
put
still
this.
wet.
There you go. But y'all, I put a picture on social the other day that was we'd been outside digging trenches and planting trees and doing all this, and my hair's like all whatever. I'm like, I think I'm calendar worthy. I think I should make a calendar this is what real homestead people look like. This is what hardworking homestead people look like. And I don't know what the reaction would be to that because it'd be very real. But I don't know if that's what we want to look at. I don't know.
I think it's a great idea. I think we should all commit, those of us who have homesteads, to getting Amy one high resolution photograph of what we look like after a particularly hard day.
Yeah.
Or the day where you woke up, you were going to have your peaceful cup of coffee and oh shit, something went wrong. And
the pigs are out.
Threw your hair in a bun and you dealt with it. And then
Yes.
it's like 1 o'clock in the afternoon. You haven't had breakfast or coffee and you're like,
right.
This is now what I look like.
This is my life.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. I look at, there's, I think they call it cottage core. I think is like a thing like hashtag cottage core, where it's just this beautiful, like peaceful, wonderful. We're all doing this great homesteading, cottagey, old fashioned kind of thing. And I look at those and I'm like, I don't know. I don't know anybody who's actually living that life that looks anything like that. 99% of the time, Yeah.
Well, if we expand it beyond girls, I actually have a picture of Tactical.
Perfect.
Muddy in the pig pasture. He's pushing out the roll of hay that we used. And Lady Pig is next to him, also helping him push.
I love it.
It's a great I don't know who took that picture. I've seen it on social. I think it was Jenny, but it might have been my mom. And I'm like, I need the original of that.
Yeah.
But it's a really good shot. And I think it was back when he had COVID.
Yeah.
And he has naturally curly hair. You've seen him. He developed like the biggest weird dreadlock on the back of his head while he was in bed having COVID. It took 2 people. It took my mom and Jenny like a week to slowly unravel the dreadlock.
Yeah. I think these would be great pictures.
We almost cut his hair off. It was almost like, we just got to cut it out, dude.
You got to start over. Sorry.
Yeah.
That's
hear
funny.
that. Yeah. Christy says, "No, I need coffee." There's a reason I have the space station where you just push a button and it's
Yeah.
coffee. Because
Yeah.
even on those mornings, you push the button, you go out and deal with it, and sometime on your way back through, you're gonna be like, "Boop,
Yes.
boop." Yeah.
Yes. That was one of the things that I loved about, I mean, talking about this being real and real homesteaders, and that was one of the things that I just loved about the workshop, because nobody was trying to impress anybody. It was
No.
when I gave my presentation, I think I was on day 5 without a shower. I had braided my hair, and just I had my hat on, and yeah, and it just like nobody cares, and
Yeah. You
that's
didn't
the
use my
reality of it.
fabulous outdoor shower?
I was going to, but I didn't. I
It's
didn't.
really I just used it, it's great.
That's why your hair is still wet.
That's why my hair it will be wet for, 4 more hours too.
Right. I
Because
understand
I
that.
use a hair
Yeah.
dryer about one time a year.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the other time is if I get a haircut, I don't know why, but they cut your hair and they insist on blowing it out
Yeah.
afterwards.
Yeah.
That is the only time my hair is blown out.
Yeah. I don't know why they do that.
Yeah. Leo says, "But Tactical's outdoor shower is fabulous."
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Yeah.
so many stern words were had over the making of that shower and how long it was gonna take and when the workshop was.
Now I feel like I definitely should have used it, because
It's really
all
nice.
that work, I heard wonderful things from everyone who used it. So
Yeah.
yes. So next
Yeah.
time.
Yeah, Tactical says there's a reason the space station is loaded to go to Texas right now. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I have a really nice coffee machine where you press a button, it grinds it, it makes a cup of coffee right there. Does everything for you. And I'm going to Texas. I'll be gone for 8 days or so. And I'm totally going to bring that thing to my Airbnb so I can do this in the morning.
Yeah. Why not?
Yeah. That makes everybody in the holler sad when they can't just walk in my house and make coffee, though.
Oh. Maybe you need 2 space stations.
Well, that's the thing. Tactical has a space station now, too.
Oh. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, now they have to be friends with him.
Mm-hmm.
All right. What about this one? Oh, so there was a leak from the Supreme Court about Roe versus Wade getting overturned. This is not anything issued from the Supreme Court, but the leak, is probably valid, and that's probably what they're going to do. At this point, it seems like that's probably going to happen. And as a result, a lot of my friends on the left are freaking out before a decision's been handed down. They're spending a lot of time on that, ignoring a lot of other things. And the core sentiment is that the fascists are taking over. I can't believe it. The fascists are taking over. This is what it was like before the Nazis happened. And I'm like, the fascists took over at least 15 years ago. And if anything that's been going on from the left and the right has not underlined this to you, why are you just now seeing it? And I know if I were to say, I'm so glad you see that example on the right, example on the left, example on the right, example on the left, she would find a reason why every abuse coming from the left is not fascism, and it totally is. Does that happen to you?
It's what's interesting to me is when different things will come out in the news, it's interesting to me what things people will latch onto. What is the thing that finally is oh, they pay attention?
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's both sides. It's, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know how to say anything other than what you said.
Yeah.
It was interesting though, because coming back from LFTN, it was oh, something happened. Because all of a sudden people were posting Roe versus Wade and all this, social. I was like, oh, something happened while we were in the holler. I need to figure out what's going on. So
yeah,
yeah.
Nate says it's amazing how fast both sides flip on My Body, My Choice. I think I got whiplash.
I think I did a podcast about that at one point, and I said, be careful if you are saying my body, my choice, because it may come back to bite you in the ass. It doesn't matter what side you're on.
Right.
So yeah. Very interesting.
Yeah. Very interesting. And if you bring that up to either side, what happened to My Body, My Choice, or why do you think it's my body, my choice now, but not then? All of those questions that are hard to answer.
Yes.
They explain why. And the explaining of the why is almost more entertaining. Like the mental gymnastics that have to be gone through to justify it, rather than admitting I'm just willing to force my opinion on people
Yeah.
through legislation.
Right.
That's the thing. So,
You ever just
yeah.
want to pop some popcorn and
Yeah. 30 Days says, "Well, it's different." Yeah, I was
it's
told
different.
why a forced vaccination is different
It's different.
than not allowing a woman to get abortion. I was totally schooled on that, and I was like, they're like, "Come on, you're a smart woman. You don't want to hurt people." I feel like there needs to be a little bit more depth to your argument on this topic.
Maybe
I
that
feel
works with
like if
some
you
people,
had
though.
ever like dug down into the topic of abortion analytically and put your emotions aside, you would learn that outreach programs are more effective at keeping women from getting abortions than the actual legislation on the topic, which is interesting. Linking women with resources who are unexpectedly pregnant, also more effective. There's a lot. It's really, they did a pilot program in St. Louis where they gave free access through a mission to birth control. And I know this is like on a topic that's really can be very emotional for people, and they saw the abortion rate and the unexpected teen pregnancy rate drop dramatically more than places where they were trying to legislate that. And it was an access and a resource issue, which is interesting. Yeah, Ken says, but that requires me to do something. It's kind of like if you want kids to learn, you're going to get a better impact by helping kids learn than by trying to force the government schools to be better. We had in Portland, when I lived there was a place called Self-Enhancement Institute. And the backstory is in North Portland, kids were graduating straight A valedictorian, going to college unprepared and flunking out of college because the kids who were good, who probably totally had the potential to be fine, were passed through with A's.
Yeah.
Because the harder kids were taking the attention. And so the standard for those schools was different than standards for other schools, even though they have standardized testing. And then they get to college and they'd flunk out. And then that was a problem. So I can't remember the guy's name. Somebody decided, okay, well, this is baloney. And there's this park in the middle of North Portland where drug dealing happens and a whole bunch of other problems are there. Made a deal with the city to, he said, I'll get it cleaned up, but you have to let me put a building in. He raised money, built a building called the Self-Enhancement Institute, and it was available to anybody after school in that area for free. They could go there and work on math skills, or there was, I think, nutrition classes. There's all sorts of stuff that you could do there. And it was this after-school program that the goal was to teach the kids what they needed to know. And as part of that, he identified families that needed resource help. And so they were able to, help families there. And they like everything turned around for these kids who had somewhere to go after school that was kind of a safe learning environment, a safe environment. They pushed the dealers out of that park. The dealers actually just agreed not to be there. He just went out and talked to them and said, they're like, okay, we'll go to this other place. And they ended up being a charter school. They ended up, when charters were finally legal in Oregon, they ended up being a charter school. And that was all because one guy was pissed off that kids in his neighborhood were not getting the resources they needed to learn.
Yeah. I think it's interesting. Ken, I think, said, no, I can't find it. But that requires me to do something.
Yeah.
I feel like sometimes like the answer is getting involved and people don't want to get involved. So let's just legislate stuff. Let's just make a rule because it looks like we're helping. We're not helping, like they're staying at an arm's length because that's comfortable but it doesn't help,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, we got somebody in Beaverton where I mostly grew up.
Ooh.
Raising a teenage daughter. Yeah, I grew up on Cooper Mountain, for what that's worth, before it was built out into a giant suburban neighborhood. It's very country in my day.
Back in the day.
Yeah, 30-day review says it's easier to not actually do anything.
Yeah.
And that is actually why people want to be taxed more to pay for the problems, so then they don't feel guilty about the fact that those problems still exist.
There you go. Yeah.
Because if they would just admit they were lazy and that's what they were doing, I'd be okay with it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, fine. You're lazy and you don't want to deal with the actual problems. Fine.
Yeah.
I'm happy. I appreciate you admitted that.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's not what you get. It's
No.
that some rich guy who doesn't pay their fair share needs to be forced to pay their fair share. And that's the moral discussion we're having, rather than Frankie down the road doesn't have enough to eat and we need to figure out how to get food to Frankie.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, you get to choose next topic. I've been Nicole ranting for like 10 minutes here.
That's okay. So
yeah.
I want to know, has there been any dumb mistakes that you have made on the homestead recently?
Recently?
Or any that come to mind? Because I have one that I've just discovered, like literally just discovered. Do you want to know what it is?
Yeah, I totally do.
All right.
What'd you do?
So I've always wanted elderberry, right? I'm like, that'd be so cool to have elderberry, because then I can make like elderberry syrup and all this stuff. Oh man, I should get some elderberry.
Uh-oh.
Do you know what I realized?
What'd you realize?
Have always had elderberry here, and I have pulled it up every year because I thought it was like a maple tree coming up.
I'm sick of that weed invading my garden.
Nicole's laughing. But literally, like this, because I was at LFTN, this weed came up and just kept growing. And I came back and I'm like, that's really big. I wonder what that is. And I took a picture and I looked at PlantNet app or whatever it is. And it tells me that's elderberry. I'm like, you've got to be kidding. So I sent that picture to a few friends. They're like, pretty sure that's elderberry. Wait a little bit, to see what it does. And yeah, I went out and looked today. I'm pretty sure that's what it is. So this whole time, how long have we been here? This is our 11th year.
Yeah.
Elderberry, I've ripped it up. I'm not going to rip it up this year.
It's really hard to eradicate it, isn't it?
Apparently it is, because it just keeps coming back. It's like, hello, I'm here. Stop ripping me up.
I will help cure your flu.
Why am I buying elderberry syrup from people when I could have been making it myself this whole time? So there you go. That is the real story from Amy.
Yeah, so I'm this person who knows wild plants, right? And I was already, and my strategy has been learn one new plant a year.
Mm-hmm.
When I moved here, I ordered a very expensive package of Jerusalem artichoke roots to put in the ground, and I planted them stupidly in the middle of my garden. If you know anything about Jerusalem artichokes, you know where they're planted, they take over. It's really hard to get rid of them. Almost as hard as, elderberry.
Apparently, yeah.
So I had them in a row because they like to grow in a clump, but I put them in a row.
Yeah.
And they grew. I nurtured them. I watered them. I babied them. And eventually they bloomed. And I was like, what a pretty flower. And I look around the holler and there are no fewer than 1,200 Jerusalem artichokes also in bloom. All like surrounded. So I go to the farmer's market and I was like, did you know that Jerusalem artichokes grow wild here? I planted some in my garden, and the mirth that came from the other, they were laughing. They were like bellyache laughing over me actually spending money on Jerusalem artichoke roots.
But now you know.
But now I know what they look like. Yeah.
It was a learning experience.
Total learning experience.
Do you have any other mistakes?
Yes. Well, anybody who listens to my podcast knows that I had a morning where I made time to enjoy my livestock. And one of the ways I did that was by going down to the rabbit hutches and opening each door and petting each rabbit because they're furry and cute.
Yes.
And what I didn't know is one of the rabbit hutches, if you didn't close it in this one exact way, because the latch was a little hinky, the rabbit could get out. And she was pregnant. So I murdered a rabbit by petting the said rabbit on her furry little head and leaving her door open. She got out, and then, a dog found her. And dogs at my house have not been taught not to grab rabbits because they don't really mess with them in the cages. So I murdered a rabbit.
Oh,
That's not the worst one, though. Do you have another one to share?
I'm sure there's more, but I'm so stuck on the elderberry thing because I just figured it out. Like literally a half hour before we went live. I'm like, oh my God, I'm pretty sure that's elderberry.
That's a good one.
Do you have
So
another
I
one?
also have the award of the worst chicken mom in my county.
How did you get that?
In year 2 or 3 of raising birds, like I knew what I was doing. I went from 20 to 40 because 20 birds are good, so 40 birds are better, right?
Absolutely.
And I quickly discovered that 40 birds outgrow the 20 bird brooder twice as fast. So
It's
then we
math.
ended up with what's known as the happiest day is when you get the chickens out of your garage or your living room and into their chicken tractor. I had somebody build me this chicken tractor that was way too heavy to move by myself, but boy, it was like tractor knocks. Except little chickens can get through little holes. And at the same time, my next door neighbor at the time had been evicted. He got his eviction notice. He was outside just unloading his gun. Boom, boom. He had a dog. His dog came running over here, freaked out by all the gunfire.
Yeah.
I needed to go to the gym. And I remember thinking to myself, Self, you should tether that dog. Self, said dog, maybe while she does not mess with chickens now, she might be a little upset. And sometimes upset dogs take their aggressions out on smaller animals.
This is
Self, you
true.
really should. Did I tether that dog?
I'm guessing not.
I did not tether that dog. I went to the gym. I came back 2 hours later, and I only found about 15 of the 40 chickens. The rest had disappeared. 2 of them lived, but they were like twitching little teeny dead bodies all over my yard. And what had happened is they would get out and she would get them. And she'd bark till he'd get out and then she'd get them. And they could get out through these tiny little holes.
Oh, man.
So my entire meat run that year was completely hosed. Yeah.
Yay for adventure, right?
Yeah.
Or something like that.
Exactly.
I don't know. We did have many years ago when we had goats, because we had goats for a few years. We did. I feel we are fully responsible for the death of one of the goats.
Oh, no.
We had made a hay feeder, a hay bag feeder kind of thing. Made it out of twine, hung it from a tree, went to a barrel race to watch a family member in a barrel race, and came home, and the goat had hung itself in the hay feeder because it still had its, its horns. So, yeah. These are the things you come home and find sometimes when you're on the homestead. Oh, there's a dead goat hanging from the tree. They don't tell you about these things.
No.
No.
Well, a friend of mine was working on a goat farm, and she went out there, and the LGD, livestock guardian dog, for the people who do not know what that means.
Yes.
This is the animal tasked with taking care of the goat. Okay. Had ripped the goat's face literally off. Goat was still alive.
Really?
And the people who owned the farm were out of town. And she texted them and said, what do I do? Do I call the vet? They're like, no, put comfrey salve on it and ice, separate the goat. And that goat lived, by the way.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And so she took a picture of it and uploaded it to social media saying, everything on the homestead isn't flowers and happy animals.
Right.
And they didn't like that. So she ended up taking it down. But she was like, people need to see what you're going to be dealing with, because especially like I had no idea how much first aid I would have to do.
Yeah.
And like first aid where I'm like, I got to figure out how to make it so this animal won't kill me and deal with it, or I'm going to have to put the animal down.
Yep. Yeah.
Those are my 2 choices, because you can't always just get a vet out there.
Right.
Like, boom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think, if people would talk about it more, I think it's good that people know that stuff happens, not only so they can prepare for it, but also because then you don't feel like you're a total screw up when it happens.
Yeah.
Like it happens. It's a thing that happens. And
yeah. Well, and you said that in your talk, like stuff's going to go wrong. It's going to be your fault.
It's going to be
animals are going to die because of it.
Yeah.
And if you let that make you quit, then you'll never get your homestead done. Everybody who does farming or homesteading has moments.
Many moments.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah.
Chrissy says, I had my young Pyrenees mix kill chickens. Still have him, but he does not stay alone with the chickens. Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. If I had an LGD tasked with babysitting the goats who couldn't babysit the goats, that would need to be rehomed or something. Because the whole purpose of that is keep the coyotes off the goats.
Yeah.
Yeah. But who knows what the goat did? Maybe the goat was like,
that's true.
Headbutt.
Right.
The dog's like, you want a piece of this? I'll give you a piece of this. Maybe the goat was after another goat and he was breaking it up. That could be too.
Right. You never know.
So have you ever like tried to automate things and tried and then went to somebody's house and you're like, oh, that would have been so simple.
I feel like I felt that a lot at your house.
Uh-oh.
Even just like looking at your setup or talking to other people that were at the workshop, it was like, why have I been doing this at my homestead this way when I could do it this way? Or with a little tweaking because, you know, different climates or whatever. But
yeah,
I think that's why it's really important to have community like this because
yeah,
we've all got different ways of doing stuff.
leave your homestead and go see how other people do it. And you'll be like, oh, if you put the feed near the pasture, you don't have to carry it around every single freaking day. That was not my innovation, by the way.
No?
No, that was tactical.
That's funny.
Yeah. I'm tired of moving 50-pound bags of feed around.
Well, how about we? That's funny. Yeah. And you just get used to like looking at stuff a certain way. You, like this is the way it's set up and this is how we've always done it. And you forget there's probably 14 different ways that you can do it.
Yeah.
And sometimes it takes someone else, you know, like visiting your house and being like, why? What are you doing here? Like,
yeah. What's that all about?
Well, yeah. Yeah. Indeed.
Mike says that's why community is so valuable. Different people thinking, different priorities, different blind spots.
Yeah.
The blind spots are real.
Yeah, they are. Just the different ways that your mind works. Cause like my husband is very mechanical and I am not. So I will set stuff up and then he will come in and be like, very nicely, so tell me why you decided to do it this way. Or maybe we should think about, you know, and I'll be like, oh, like we totally should have done it that way. But so just the different ways that people's brains work. And it's always interesting when you're setting stuff up.
Yeah, I think the thing that helped me the most here start making some good changes was understanding the zones in permaculture.
Yeah.
And then it took me another 5 freaking years to decide what my zone 1 was. I have a garden. I have a kitchen garden in zone 2 right now. But it's because it's already there and it was there when I moved in. But focusing on that zone 1 and really nailing that has been, once I figured out where it was, has been a big help to all efficiency on this homestead.
Yeah.
Because I had zone 1 things scattered to the far ends of the property. And it was like, gotta run here, gotta run there, gotta run there.
Yeah.
Crap, I didn't run there today and now the thing's dying. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, like sometimes because like our raspberry patch is so far from our house. It was there when we bought the place. Obviously, I didn't even know it was there when we bought the place and we just walked out. We're like, oh my gosh, there's raspberries. But because it's so far from the house, you have to think like I have to go out there and check it because if I forget for a few days,
raspberries are ripe.
I know because then the birds get them, and you know I'm like, oh no, we don't have raspberries. But yeah, and it's crazy because the way that it was set up before maybe isn't the best way. You know, the people who lived here before, they set it up the way they set it up, and that's not necessarily the best way to set it up. So it's been interesting to look at how things are set up and go, wait a second, maybe this should move here. We should do this, you know, differently. So
I was just peering out my window because when I moved in, and this was gone by the time you're here, there was a bonfire set up on the hill going up, like behind Taj Mahal.
Yeah.
And as a result of that bonfire being just frankly where somebody left a pile of crap that needed to be burned, the bonfire was there for 14 years.
Yeah.
And right next to it was a pig roasting pit that just recently got taken out. And it was something that had to be mowed around or whatever. It was totally not the best place for a bonfire.
Yeah.
And I looked out there to see if stuff had made its way back there, because then the temptation is, because we've always had stuff there. I have these extra branches. Where do I put them? Right there.
Yep. Right. Yeah.
That's not where a bonfire should be.
Right.
The first LFTN workshop, the barter blanket was around that bonfire, and the hill is like this, right?
Right.
And so people, you're going to be shocked to hear this. Some people at the barter blanket were drinking alcoholic beverages.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
And they were in those camp chairs. You know what happens to those camp chairs on a hill like this when you're drunk? So people were rolling down the hill like little tumbleweeds. It was entertaining. I'm not going to lie. It was totally entertaining. But yeah.
That's crazy.
Liberty All Day says, pig roasting pit. But now I have a friend that has a pig roasting trailer that can be pulled here. So I don't even need a pig roasting pit anymore. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
That works.
Yeah. Okay, what else do we got?
So, you know how the news will report something and it turns out not to be true?
Wait, what?
I know. Or it turns out to be half true, not all the way true. But people will go back and continue to listen to that news.
Yeah. Years later.
Even though they've been wrong in what they reported. So I bring this up because Monday we had some severe weather go through. And we actually had a funnel cloud that was a couple miles from our house. And so we were here and, the weather was getting kind of dicey and my kids and I love to watch storms, right? And so, we go outside and then our phones are blowing up with tornado warning, whatever. And I'm looking at the sky thinking, it doesn't quite look like, but okay, we'll watch, and be careful because, if something happens, we want to get in the house. And then my phone starts blowing up with people saying, oh my God, are you okay? I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. Oh my gosh, like we heard, what are you talking about? Apparently the news in this time when, they'd put out the tornado warning, the news had reported that in my little itty bitty town,
oh no,
there had been a tornado on the ground for 5 minutes.
That's a really long time for a tornado to be on the ground.
That's a really long time. And the town, not my mailing address, the town that I'm actually in, if you blink when you drive by, you will miss it, right? So
that meant it was just like,
I know,
and did not move.
I guess. So I'm like, what? I'm like, the news said what? And so come to find out, there was never anything like verified that it had been on the ground. We have no idea why the news was saying that there had been this big tornado, whatever. But like, I know people will go back to that news channel and continue to watch, even though there was this totally fake, like, report of what had happened. And I just think about how many things people see on the news or hear on the news or see in the newspaper, and it's not true, and they still go back and get their news from there,
Yeah.
And I don't understand that.
And they trust it.
I don't know. And they trust it. But the news said, well, yeah, the news said last time and last time and it was wrong. So why do you believe him this time? Well, this time it's different. It's different, right?
It's my confirmation bias. It supports it. Therefore, it is correct.
Yeah.
That is why people are still wearing masks made out of fabric.
Yeah.
I don't know where you are on that issue, but, it is what it is. But that's why people are still doing that and thinking they're changing something.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't have the answer.
Yeah.
I just drink really good coffee. And
good coffee is where I'm drinking water because if I have too much coffee, the one I need at about 6:30 tonight isn't going to work.
This is true. I'm
saving myself for that one.
Right. Yeah.
Oh, that means I'm hitting. Ooh, I just realized something about the timing of my drive.
Uh-oh.
And rush hour in a really big city.
That's not good.
I need to think about my route. So, okay, let's look forward. Okay. What's next?
What's next?
Amy?
For me?
Yeah.
Oh gosh, I don't know. You mean on my homestead or?
I mean, like in the next month or so. Any big things happening?
We'll be getting our pigs. We'll probably be getting chickens. We'll probably be planning for rabbits, maybe.
Probably be planning for rabbits, maybe.
Probably be planning for rabbits, maybe. We will be out of town for a couple weeks, so everything's kind of on hold until we get back from that. But yeah, then it's going to be because we won't plant the garden until we get back from there. And
Ooh,
I know it's
that would be a
just
big stressor for me if I was
yeah,
not planting my garden right now.
really
Yeah.
because like we normally will plant the second or third week in June, and we're fine. I know you're like we had frost the last weekend in May
Yeah.
last year, so yeah. I know, you're like, "That is so late." Yeah.
It is late. You know,
Yeah.
there's a rule here that you're not supposed to transplant things like your tomatoes or peppers till after Mother's Day.
Mm.
Because we get these flukishly late frosts in April sometimes. Other times it warms up in March and never
Oh,
freezes
right.
again. So who
Yeah.
knows?
Yeah.
But the old timers say that. And this year I actually got my garden out before Mother's Day and I got my transplants out before Mother's Day, the Friday before Mother's Day.
Wow.
And I was like, see, they were wrong. And then we got freaking hail on Saturday
Oh.
before I'm like, I hate it when they're right.
Oh,
And I was like,
man.
the tomatoes lived, but they don't like ice.
Right.
And so it was perfectly warm. There was just ice falling from the sky anyway.
Yeah.
So
They were gonna get their ice in there no
yeah, the old
matter how
timers were
yeah.
like, hee. Nicole put her tomatoes out early. Bring on the hail.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. So when we come back from that, it'll be busy and doing all the things and chaos, and you can say, "Amy, are you tired?" And I'll say,
I'll be
"Yes,
like,
I'm so
I'm just
tired."
waiting now. I'm harvesting.
Right, right. Yeah.
Yeah, well, that'll be fun. How do
Yeah.
you that's why when you told me you were leaving, I'm like, "But all the things." I'm leaving
Yeah.
for a week right now, and I'm freaking out about it
Yeah.
because all the things need babying right now.
Sure.
We've got another 14 days of babying, and then if it dies, it dies.
Yeah.
But I'm usually the one who does that babying, and now I have to outsource said babying to the tactical redneck. I know, I'm
Are you gonna
trusting.
be okay with that?
I'm not sure I will. He might actually get text messages. Did you? Did you?
Reminders?
I'm gonna give him a checklist actually so that
Yeah.
he can be irritated when I ask him if he did stuff.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mhm.
But not watering the seeds that are in the ground right now, if we don't get natural water from the skies,
Sure.
means they could germinate and then die immediately if they don't have enough
Yeah.
moisture in the soil.
Yeah.
So that's always my worry. That's why my beets didn't make it this year is I didn't have a good way to get them to germinate. And I
Yeah.
was in and out and in and out. So yeah.
Mm.
Another
Mm.
year without beets.
Dang it. I
Yeah.
had beets for the first time at your workshop.
Really?
Mhm. And
You
they
gonna
were
grow 'em
good.
now?
I don't know. I've heard they're really good roasted too.
They're really good roasted.
Are they? Okay.
Yeah. With Chev
Mm.
and garlic,
Mm.
balsamic, yeah,
Sounds
in a
horrible.
salad, basil leaves. But the basil leaf really makes it.
Yummy.
All of those
Yummy.
things are possible.
I love it.
It's not
So what
like those in-season cookbooks where they're like, "You can have peas and carrots at the same time in fresh spring milk." And I'm
Right.
like, "Funny, because my carrots are never ready when my peas are ready, and
Right.
then my peas are
Yeah.
dead and then the carrots are ready."
Yeah. Yeah. What the heck?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what do you have coming up in the next month?
Lots of road time. So I'm heading to
Yeah.
Texas for a week at a time of year I don't usually travel,
Mm.
and that's gonna be crazy. And then we have sheep coming in,
Ooh.
and we're getting Muscovy ducks
Mhm.
right when I get so we have, like, livestock coming in, and then I actually have a weekend in June, which coincides with Self-Reliance Festival, where I really need to find somebody willing to stay here for 2 days
Yeah.
and take care of things on the homestead because we have meat birds and then we'll have the meat processing class. We've got sheep coming in. We've got all of these new things. And I
Mhm.
think just having somebody come in a couple times is not helpful.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm a little freaked out about that, actually.
Little
I don't
bit.
know who to have do that.
Hmm.
And there is one hauler neighbor who will be here.
Yes.
So I just don't and like none of us like to be the only hauler neighbor doing the things. It's better to
Sure.
have 2 hauler neighbors doing the things. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
so I
Well,
don't know.
that'll be exciting.
Yeah. Lots
Hope
of trust. My
right.
theme this spring is trust.
Trust.
Trust. Yeah. Yeah, you've done that before and it's bit you in the butt, hasn't it?
When? Are you referring to something specific?
No. But you look like you're thinking of something specific.
No, the funny thing is because generally if my entire family leaves, my dad will come watch the homestead, and
Yeah.
I have always it's usually at the end of the season. So there's no babies, there's nothing, no seedlings, there's nothing like that. It's just, keep these animals alive basically until we get home. And it will never fail. Something will die while we were gone. And my dad always feels so bad. And I was like, it's okay. Like if it was going to die, it was going to die. Like it's not because you're there. You know what I'm saying? You didn't do anything wrong. You just happen to discover this animal, So, yeah. It's there's always something that happens when we're gone.
That's a thing. It's like the raccoons know I left. And then they get poultry. And then the person poultry sitting who's never seen a dead animal before is like, there's a dead chicken down in the coop. Its guts were ripped out. And I'm like, oh, a raccoon got it.
Yeah.
And I feel so bad. Like there's nothing you could have done.
Right.
It's probably because my dog came with me.
Yeah. What do you do?
It's like they were waiting, just watching.
They probably were.
Yeah.
Okay, she's gone. Let's go.
Let's leave.
Yeah. Yeah.
Alpha 1, go to the duck coop at the Holler Homestead. Alpha 2, standing back up.
It's all planned out. You should have cameras up and then put that out on your YouTube channel with voiceovers.
Yeah, we should.
It'd be great. You should.
It's way easier to deploy cameras now, and I have a fleet of them that are some are up and some are not.
Yeah.
But I would like to get some livestock live streams would be fun.
It would be fun, especially if you did voiceovers.
Yeah, the voiceovers have to happen.
Because that's where the magic is.
That is where the magic is. Most of the time.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, that's all I've got for this week. How about you?
That's all I've got, I think. Yeah. It's done storming, so that means I can actually go outside and get work done. We had a doozy of a storm going through. I didn't know if this was going to happen, but...
Yeah, it was going to be Spicy's sister.
It would have been super spicy. It would have been really
I would have been spicy about that. I could have already been on the road, but no.
There you go.
Had to do weather. And then the weather came. Likely excuse.
Right.
She's not having a bourbon by her pool.
My pool. My mud puddle, maybe.
We don't even have that now. It's been dry since everybody left.
Oh my gosh, there's so much water here from the last 2 days.
Gosh, that's funny. It's so funny. People left on Saturday night so they wouldn't get rained on, and then it didn't rain.
I know. Yeah. That was crazy.
Like, you guys could have had fun one more night.
One more night of karaoke. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, guys, we'll be back in June with another one of these. Thanks for joining us. And I don't know. See you on the other side of your vacation.
Yeah. And you too.
Yep.